of those 28-3 vibey things. The Niners went into halftime down 24-7 before scoring 27 straight points in the second half to absolutely stun the Lions and their fans. And yeah, they're making their 8th Super Bowl appearance in franchise history now. We get a rematch of Super Bowl 54, which of course was Patrick Mahomes' first Super Bowl, and when they took down the Niners, and it got Andy Reid and Patrick their first ring. So if you look over at FanDuel Sportsbook, as we are celebrating all things FanDuel and Flutter here today, the Niners, FanDuel had them as 2.5-point favorites. It's already moved to 1.5 for San Francisco. But as for the game, this was gut check time. Are they allergic to NFC North teams in the first half? Maybe. We all know the narrative out there on this Niners squad and the Shanahan team has always been get out in front of them because they cannot come back on you. And the Lions executed perfectly in the first half. But since these playoffs have started, this team has sort of changed it up. We got to give them some credit here on the Monday morning at the New York Stock Exchange here. They come back last week to take down the Packers, of course. And then what they did last night, that was the stuff of legends. Brock Purdy, Shanahan, we see you. Things could not have been worse. But then Brock, second half, brilliant, arm fine, the legs. Stop talking about hand size when he's got the legs that change the game like that. Debo, our friend of the show, total problem last night. He had 98 total yards, 96 total yards. CMC looks stronger and stronger. This kid is just built the way he's built. He knows how to run. He does not go down. So after a brutal first half, the defense came up with a bunch of clutch stops in the second half to give the offense a chance to come back. And I want you guys to listen to Brock Purdy after the game talking about what went on at halftime before the remarkable, stunning comeback.
You know, been in crazy situations, and so everyone was like, all right, we just got to do our job straight up. Like, the offense has to move the ball. We got to put up points, convert on third downs, defense, get some stops for us. And that was really about it. There wasn't really much said. Kyle said a couple things. Fred said a couple things, but we kept it simple. And so went out. We all knew what we had to do. Season's on the line. We're down 17. So I think everybody stepped up, and we played really good complementary team football from there.
All the teams.
Okay, so there was no Mighty Duck / Gordon Bombay moment. It sounds like their belief just didn't waver despite getting punched in the mouth early. It really is giving me Belichick, do your job, 28-3 vibes. Like, they never doubted themselves. And I've tried to say this all year. This Niners team is much different than any other squad that we've seen under Kyle Shanahan. And they proved it last night, winning the type of game everybody tried to say that they couldn't win. On the Lions side, my heart goes out to Lions fans all the way from Calvin, you know, Megatron, down to Richard Issacha's kids, who I'm sure were rooting for this team to finally get it done, as he's a Lions fan and was at the game last week. Now, this is as tough as it gets. They've waited so long for the moment. There are some questionable decisions from Dan Campbell, of course. The world was talking about them this morning, going for it when you could have gone up by 3 scores, kicking the field goal in some key moments in the second half. That was brutal, but it's who he is. He stayed that way. I don't know what the lesson is from him, but it was the first thing, of course, he was asked about after the game.
I don't regret those decisions, and that's hard. You know, it's hard because, you know, we didn't come through. It wasn't able to work out, but I don't. And I understand the scrutiny I'll get. That's part of the gig, man. But, you know, we just didn't work out.
Okay, we'll talk to Gronk. Gronk will be here on set. He's somewhere shaking hands, kissing babies, I'm sure. Actually, he's right here. There, I see Gronk right there. We're going to get his opinion on some of these decisions. I will say this. As nightmarish as this was, it's a young team. They're going to be a factor here as long as Coach Campbell is running the show. Maybe he'll learn some lessons. I'm curious to see how that'll evolve with Goff under center. This is a season for Detroit to be very proud of. They not only met the expectations of the hype in the NFC North, but they almost got themselves to a Super Bowl, and they will. Now, Chiefs-Ravens, for the 4th time in the last 5 years, here they are, headed again to the Super Bowl. Gronk knows a thing or two about dynasties. We'll talk to him. And we saw a little bit of everything in this, okay? We saw the absolutely wild, superhuman plays from Mahomes and Lamar early. It was ultimately, though, the Chiefs' defense that decided this one. Kansas City picked up 4 sacks, you guys, 3 takeaways. They had 2 in the end zone, and they held the explosive Ravens offense scoreless on 8 straight possessions after Lamar's ridiculous early touchdown pass to Zay Flowers, who my heart goes out to. And he's a bright player, bright future. He's going to learn a lot from this one as well. I said it in September. If the Chiefs are going to repeat this year, it's going to be because of the defense. And man, they just continued to deliver. But this was another level yesterday. They saved their best game of the year for the AFC Championship game, and it was like a Spags masterclass. They're wearing T-shirts and Spags We Trust, the whole thing. That's not to say Mahomes wasn't brilliant in his own right either. He was up to some, classic Mahomes hijinks for sure, making some impossible, freakish plays. But once again, it was all about managing the game. He talked about it after the game. He was efficient. He completed 77% of his passes. He set an NFL record 6 straight playoff game without an interception. And even though the Chiefs didn't score a point in the second half, because that Baltimore defense was on fire, they closed it out when they needed to in the fourth quarter. And here's Patrick talking about what I asked of him to just be this game managing, I know I can be a superhero, but I'm going to let my defense do it. He says it better than I do. Here he is.
Obviously, and whenever they're rolling like that, I have to kind of manage my game. That's stuff that I've learned throughout the season is even if we're not having the success that I want to have, the defense is rolling and getting stops. Let's just take the safe choice, get the ball out of my hand, don't turn the ball over, and let's go win a football game.
They're not doing things the same old way. They're adapting, and I can't say enough about that and how important it is. The personnel has changed, and once again, the Chiefs are headed to a Super Bowl because they're able to adapt and adjust in-game throughout the weeks. I mean, Travis Kelce 5 weeks ago did not look like the one we saw yesterday, emotional after this win on the way to another Super Bowl. We'll talk about the Ravens side with Rob. He'll be here after the break, but this was about as devastating as it gets for Baltimore, okay? Even with Lamar having some struggles, they had every opportunity to get back into and win this game. They had so many chances, and they kept making bad mistakes after bad mistake, critical ones. You have to play a clean game if you want to beat Kansas City on any day. Committing 5 absolutely flagrant, I'm kind of annoyed, flagrant personal fouls, right? Personal foul penalties, and coughing the ball up twice in the end zone. That can't happen. Now, I feel for Lamar. Lamar pressed a lot, too much. It seemed like the weight of the moment might have been a factor for the whole team because it did mean that much. And here is Lamar talking about the vibe in the locker room after the game.
I mean, we mad. Like, I understand, coach going to give a speech, that's his job, but we mad. We got to this position, one game away from the Super Bowl that what I've been talking about, my team been talking about all season, and we fell short. And like I said, offense, we didn't put nothing on the board. We scored once. That's not like us, We drove the ball down the field, that's cool, but we got to put points on the board. But I feel like my team just angry, Not frustrated, we just angry because we know how hard we worked to get.
Odell was comforting him on the sidelines. Zay Flowers, of course, probably not feeling great this morning. The defense played so well. They had so much going for them. It was their year, and it didn't happen. How do they rebound? That is the story heading into next season, and hopefully we see that, but this is going to hurt for a long time. I know these are sort of trite things everybody on Twitter is saying and those sort of takes, so Rob's going to fill in the blanks here. Rob Gronkowski is joining us after the break live here at the New York Stock Exchange.